Hi, I'm 34 and, this past week, my entire world cracked wide open. My wife and I have been married for 8 years. No kids, but not for lack of trying. We'd been through the fertility roller coaster for years. Appointments, tests, failed IVF attempts, the emotional burnout, it took a toll. 2 years ago, we decided to stop trying. It was mutual. We grieved together, made peace with it, or so I thought, and focused on building the life we could have. We travel. We hike. We adopted 2 dogs. And I really believed we were in sync again, after so much pain. Until this Thursday. I came home from work to find a teenager sitting in my living room. At first, I thought she was lost or that maybe my wife was helping out a friend's kid or something. But the moment I walked in, the girl stood up, gave me this weird little half smile, and said, "Hi. I think you might be my dad." I stood there frozen. My wife, standing behind her, looked like she'd just been hit by a truck. I laughed, thinking it was some kind of joke. But nobody was laughing. My wife's face said everything. She knew something I didn't. She was pale, shaking, eyes wide with guilt. The girl, her name is Erica, 15 years old, explained that she had done one of those DNA ancestry tests for fun. Just a school project. And apparently, my name showed up on her relative match list as a very close relative. She dug deeper, went down the rabbit hole, and somehow ended up here. That's when my wife finally broke and told me the truth. She'd donated eggs when she was 19. It was a one-time thing, she said. She was in college, broke, and figured it would help someone out. She never told me, not during our fertility struggles, not when we discussed egg donation as a last resort, not once in 8 years of marriage. And here's the kicker, she admitted that she knew a child had been born from that donation years ago. She never met the parents, but she'd been contacted once by the agency saying a child had been successfully conceived and born. She didn't follow up. She just ignored it, buried it. I couldn't process what I was hearing. She donated eggs, which, okay, I could maybe understand if she was young and didn't think much of it, but then she never said anything? Not even when we were in the thick of crying in bathrooms and blaming ourselves for not having children? And now this teenager shows up out of nowhere thinking I might be her father? It took me a minute to realize what that meant. If Erica thought I was her father, that could only mean one thing, my sperm was involved. But that's impossible, right? Except, I'm an organ donor. A blood donor. And when I was 20, I also donated to a fertility clinic, once, for money. I never thought much about it. It was anonymous, and they said I'd never hear from anyone. So now the question is, what are the odds that my wife's eggs and my sperm, both anonymously donated years apart, were combined to create this teenager standing in my living room? I haven't said a word to Erica yet. I told her we needed time, and she understood. She left quietly. But before she did, she looked at me and said, "I think I look like you." Reddit, I can't sleep. I can't eat. I don't know what to think. The moment Erica left our house, the silence between me and my wife was unbearable. She tried to talk, I just couldn't. I went to bed without another word. Not that I slept. I stared at the ceiling all night, trying to untangle what just happened. The next morning, I drove around aimlessly for 2 hours before finally parking in front of a pharmacy. I walked in, grabbed one of those at-home DNA kits, paid in cash, and left. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell anyone. I just needed answers. That same night, I did the swab and mailed it off. Then I sat on it for a week. Every day, I looked at my wife like I didn't recognize her. She kept trying to explain, but it all sounded like noise. She'd donated her eggs at 19. I'd donated my sperm at 20. Different states, different clinics, 2 years apart. And yet somehow, a teenager just showed up with both our DNA. My mind kept jumping to the worst-case scenario. What if one of those clinics screwed up? What if our anonymous donations were combined without our knowledge? What if some random lab tech played God and thought it was meant to be? Or, worse, what if it wasn't random at all? The more I thought about it, the more it felt like there was something missing from her story. Like she wasn't telling me everything. She swore she didn't know anything about the donor on the other side, swore she never followed up, never got any information. But she also said she got a letter from the agency years ago. One she hid from me. What if that letter mentioned me? The paranoia started eating away at me. I even started wondering if she knew about my donation and kept quiet on purpose. But why would she? Why keep that from me when we were literally breaking down over not being able to conceive? I started digging. Quietly. I pulled up my old emails, the ones I hadn't touched in over a decade. I found the receipt from the sperm bank. I even called the clinic. I used a fake name and asked if it was possible for 2 anonymous donors, 1 egg, one sperm, to be paired together on purpose. The answer chilled me. It's rare, but not impossible, the woman said. Especially if both parties consented to broad use. That part hit me like a punch to the chest. Because I did consent. I signed the damn papers. Back then, I didn't care. I just wanted a quick buck. I never imagined I'd be in this position, staring down the possibility that I have a biological child out there. And now she's standing at the edge of my life. I finally told my wife about the DNA test. She looked crushed, like I'd betrayed her, but honestly? The betrayal was mutual. She still hadn't shown me the letter. I asked again. She said she threw it away. Just tossed it out like it meant nothing. I didn't believe her. We've barely spoken since. We're living in the same house, eating at different times, avoiding each other's eyes. And every time my phone buzzes, I wonder if it's the test results. I don't know what I'll do if they come back saying Erica is biologically mine. Or worse, what if they say she's ours? The email came in on a Tuesday morning. I was sitting in my car outside the office, coffee gone cold in the cup holder, when I saw the notification light up on my phone. DNA results were ready. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely tap the screen. I must have stared at the login page for 5 solid minutes before I finally entered my password. And there it was. Parent-child match, 99.9998% certainty. I felt the air leave my lungs. But not just my match. There was a second section. A connected profile. Biological mother, confirmed. My wife. The odds of both our genetic materials ending up in one donor embryo were practically impossible, unless someone made it happen on purpose. I sat in my car for 30 minutes, staring at the screen, rereading the results. It was surreal. I wasn't angry. Not yet. I was in shock. My wife and I have a daughter. A 15-year-old daughter who found us through a school DNA project. And we had no idea. When I got home, I didn't even take off my coat. I just walked straight into the living room and showed her my phone. She looked at the screen. Then at me. And then she whispered the words I didn't even realize I was waiting to hear. I knew. That broke me. I asked her how long. She said she found out 6 years ago. A random email from the agency. They'd reached out asking if she'd be open to contact because the child was starting to ask questions about her background. My wife panicked, deleted the email, told herself she didn't want to get involved. Then 2 years later, when we were at our lowest point, when I was crying in a parking lot because the third IVF round had failed, she knew. She knew there was a child out there with our DNA. Our daughter. Alive. And she didn't tell me. She didn't want to reopen that door, she said. It would have changed everything. She didn't want to share me. She didn't want us to be defined by someone else's decision to bring that embryo to life. Except it wasn't someone else's decision. It was ours. Years ago, through careless paperwork and desperate money grabs. Now that girl is real. She has a name, a face, a voice, and she thinks we're her parents. My wife tried to defend herself, said she didn't know it would ever come to this. She thought the donation would just disappear into the system. That we'd never have to face it. But now the past is standing on our front porch, asking questions. And there's no hiding anymore. I went to the guest room that night. Didn't speak to her at all. Just lay there, heart racing, thinking about a girl I've never met, and what the hell I'm supposed to do next. I didn't plan to meet Erica. Not yet. Not when my head was still spinning and I could barely look my wife in the eye without picturing all the ways she kept this from me. But Erica didn't wait. She showed up again, this time while I was alone. Saturday afternoon, front door wide open because I was carrying in groceries. I turned around and there she was. Backpack slung over one shoulder. Eyes just like mine. She looked nervous, but determined. She said she just wanted to talk. 5 minutes, no pressure. And I didn't have the heart to turn her away. We sat on the porch. I gave her a soda. She started with small talk, school, her love of astronomy, how she hated math. I nodded, barely registering half of it, just watching her. Watching her gestures, her smile, her posture. Little things that felt familiar. Then she hit me with it. She already knew. She knew my wife had donated eggs. She'd found old paperwork, medical documents from the agency, hidden in her adoptive parents' attic. Her mom passed away last year, and during the cleanup, Erica found a dusty file marked embryo donor match. She saw both our names. She didn't tell anyone, not her dad, not her friends. She waited, stewed on it, then started searching. Found my wife on social media. Then me. When her DNA test matched with me, it just confirmed what she already suspected. And here's what really threw me, she wasn't angry. She said she just wanted to know who she came from. She wasn't trying to replace anyone or wreck our lives. Her adoptive father was a good man, still is. But after her mom passed, something inside her shifted. She needed connection. Roots. She just wanted to understand why. Why two people who made her never looked back. That gutted me. Because the truth is, I never even knew she existed. And my wife, well, she knew. And chose silence. For 6 whole years. I asked Erica if she had told anyone she found us. She shook her head. She didn't want to cause drama. Didn't want to push where she wasn't welcome. I told her something I never thought I'd say. I didn't know. If I had, things would have been different. She nodded. Said she believed me. Then she reached into her backpack and handed me something, a photo album. Pictures of her as a kid. First steps. Dance recitals. Birthdays. She said I could keep it if I wanted. Then she left. Just like that. No tears. No demands. And I just sat there, flipping through pictures of a life I missed entirely. A life I should have known about. A daughter I never got to raise, because no one told me she was mine. The photo album sat on my nightstand for 2 days before I could bring myself to open it again. It wasn't the pictures that haunted me, it was the captions. Written in her adoptive mother's handwriting. Full of love, full of joy. A family that had cherished her. And we weren't part of it. We were ghosts. On the 3rd night, I couldn't take the silence anymore. I asked my wife, calmly, if there were any other letters. Anything she hadn't told me. She swore again that she'd deleted the email years ago. But something in her voice cracked. So I checked the attic. I don't know what made me look there. Instinct, maybe. Or pure desperation. But sure enough, behind a box of old Christmas decorations, buried in a shoebox taped shut, I found it. The letter. It was postmarked 6 years ago. Addressed from the fertility agency. Unopened. My wife hadn't deleted anything. She'd just hidden it. I opened it on the floor of the attic, surrounded by old sweaters and dust. My hands were shaking. The letter was simple. The agency was informing her that a child had been born using her donated eggs and that, per the agreement, the child had requested non-identifying background information about her genetic parents. They weren't asking for contact, just medical history. A photo, if possible. That's it. No pressure. No demand for a relationship. Just a bridge. And she said no. She never responded. She didn't even read it. I don't know how long I sat there. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Not just that she kept it from me, but that she ignored it completely. She could have given Erica something. A photo. A name. A story. Anything. But she didn't. Later that night, I confronted her with the letter. She didn't deny it. She broke down, admitted that she panicked when it came. She felt ashamed. Said she had just buried the idea of that child so deep, it was like it never happened. And when we were struggling to have kids, she couldn't bear to think there was already one out there. She didn't want to grieve the life we could have had. So she pretended it didn't exist. I asked her if she regretted it. She said yes. And then she surprised me. She was already writing Erica a letter. It was on her desk, tucked inside an envelope with no address. She didn't know what to say. She asked if I wanted to read it. I did. It was raw. Honest. Apologetic. She told Erica she never meant to ignore her. That she was afraid of what it meant, of what it would do to our marriage, of her own guilt. She said she was proud of the young woman she had become. That she hoped Erica could forgive her. It wasn't perfect. But it was a start. I told her to finish it. Mail it. She said she would. But here's the thing. I'm not sure if the letter was really for Erica. Or if it was for me. The letter went out on a Wednesday. I watched my wife drop it into the mailbox like it weighed 1,000 pounds. She didn't say anything, just closed the lid and stood there for a long time with her hand resting on it, like she was second-guessing everything. I didn't comfort her. I didn't say it was the right thing. I just stood on the porch and watched. Because the truth was, I still didn't know what I wanted. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not because I was waiting for Erica to respond, but because I kept thinking about something she said during our first conversation. I just wanted to know who I came from. It hit me differently now. Because I realized something. This whole time, I'd been obsessing over what we were supposed to do about her. Whether we were ready. Whether we could deal with it. But Erica wasn't looking for a decision. She wasn't asking for anything but honesty. She already knew who she came from. She just wanted to see what that meant to us. The answer? Apparently, not much, for a long time. The next day, we got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just our names, handwritten. It was from Erica. Inside was a folded sheet of notebook paper and one photo. A Polaroid. It was her, standing in front of a planetarium, holding a small sign that read, "I'm not angry. I'm just here." The letter itself was short. She said thank you for talking to her. That she wasn't trying to barge into our lives, or make anything weird. She'd already been raised by people who loved her, who gave her everything. But her mom had always told her that love could come from unexpected places. That sometimes, you just needed to follow the thread and see where it led. She said she wasn't looking for parents. But she also wasn't going to pretend this didn't matter. Because it did. And then came the line that knocked the air out of me. I don't want a family. I want truth. That's all. And if either of you ever wants to meet again, not because you feel obligated, but because you're curious, I'll be around. That was it. No contact info. Just a name, a school, and the planetarium where she volunteers on weekends. She left the door open. Not wide, but just enough to peek through. My wife cried when she read it. Not sobbing. Just this quiet, messy sort of grief, the kind that comes from realizing how much time you've lost that you can never get back. I didn't cry. I just stared at the picture. Because for the first time in weeks, I stopped feeling like I was falling. And started wondering what it would mean to walk toward her. I didn't tell my wife I was going. I just woke up Saturday morning, got in the car, and drove to the address Erica left in her letter. I wasn't sure what I was going to say, or if I'd say anything at all. Maybe I'd just watch from a distance and leave. But part of me knew I wouldn't do that. I parked outside the planetarium and sat in my car for 10 minutes. I hadn't been this nervous since our first fertility appointment. My hands kept drifting to the photo Erica had sent, folded in my jacket pocket like some kind of emotional shield. When I finally went in, it was quiet. A few families were milling around, some kids running to press buttons on interactive exhibits. I scanned the room, heart pounding. And then I saw her. She was standing by a scale model of the solar system, showing a little boy how the rings on Saturn lit up under UV light. She looked so at ease. Confident. Happy. She hadn't seen me yet, and I took a step back, suddenly unsure. This felt invasive, selfish, like I was trying to claim a piece of her just because of shared DNA. But then she looked up, and our eyes met. She didn't flinch. She didn't look surprised. She just gave me the smallest nod. Like she already knew I'd come. I walked over. Slowly. Still unsure if I was doing the right thing. She finished helping the boy, then turned to me with this half-smile. That same one from our porch. No awkward tension. No drama. She just said, "Hey." We sat on a bench near the exit. No crowd. No pressure. I asked her about the planetarium. How long she'd volunteered. She told me she started coming here when she was 7 and never stopped. That her mom used to bring her every Saturday, without fail. Even during chemo. Her voice didn't crack when she said that. Mine did. I told her I read her letter. That it meant more than she probably realized. She looked at me for a second, then said, "I figured. Or you wouldn't be here." Then she asked me a question I didn't expect. "What do you want from this?" I froze. Because I didn't have an answer. I wasn't there to play dad. I wasn't there to rewrite her childhood. I didn't know if I wanted to be anything more than what I already was. But I also didn't want to lose the chance to find out. So I said the only honest thing I could think of. I want to know you. Not because I have to. Because I want to. She nodded. Like that made sense. Like that was enough, for now. Before I left, she handed me a flyer. Her school was doing a science night next month. She was presenting a project. "If you want to come," she said, almost casually. No pressure. I told her I'd be there. And I meant it. Because for the first time in a long time, something finally felt right. Science night was last Friday. I hadn't stepped foot inside a high school in over a decade, and walking through those doors again brought back a weird rush of nostalgia and nerves. The hallways buzzed with voices and fluorescent lights, and every few feet I passed a trifold poster board with some kid's attempt to explain black holes or wind turbines. I didn't see Erica right away. I wandered through the exhibits, trying to act normal, like I wasn't there on the edge of an identity crisis. Then I spotted her. She was standing by her project, something about exoplanets and the likelihood of habitable conditions in nearby star systems. I couldn't tell you half the science, but she looked completely in her element. Confident. Engaged. Like she belonged. And then she saw me. She didn't smile right away. Just gave me a quick glance, then looked down at her notes. For a second, I thought maybe I shouldn't have come. Maybe I'd misread everything. But then, when a group of people walked up to her table, students, a teacher, and one woman who looked like a foster parent or maybe a friend of the family, Erica looked up, smiled, and said, This is him. Maybe. That's exactly what she said. Not dad. Not biological father. Just maybe. And it hit me like a punch wrapped in warmth. Because it wasn't dismissive. It wasn't cruel. It was real. I walked up and said hi to the group, shaking hands like I was meeting coworkers, not people connected to this strange, tangled web of biology and emotion. AITA didn't act embarrassed or distant. She let me stay. She asked if I wanted to help explain one of the sections of her project, something I absolutely was not prepared for, but she guided me through it like she'd been doing this her whole life. Like she trusted me. Later, when the crowd thinned and the lights dimmed a little, she handed me a copy of her notes and said I did okay. I joked that she made me look smarter than I actually am, and she smirked. Then she said something I'll never forget. This isn't going to be normal. But it doesn't have to be bad. I nodded, unsure if I had the right to say anything back. But she kept going. You don't have to make up for anything. Just, don't disappear. That one line wrecked me. Because that's all she wanted. Not a perfect reunion. Not a miracle family. Just presence. Just truth. Like she said in her letter. I told her I wouldn't. And this time, I meant it with my whole heart. Before I left, she pulled out her phone and asked if she could text me something. I gave her my number. No hesitation. And later that night, the message came in. Just one photo. Me and her, standing by her project. Caption, first picture. Didn't blink. I told my wife everything. About the planetarium, science night, the photo. I showed her the message AITA sent me, the text thread that was slowly growing between us. I figured if we were ever going to move forward, we had to stop hiding things, from each other and from her. She listened. Quiet. Focused. No tears this time. No breakdown. Then she said she wanted to meet her. I wasn't sure how to feel. A part of me was relieved. Another part, terrified. My wife hadn't seen AITA since that day on our porch, the day everything cracked open. And since then, I'd felt like I was drifting somewhere between protector and stranger. But AITA said yes. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop near her school. Public, neutral ground. Nothing heavy. Just a conversation. The day came, and we got there first. My wife was tense, hands clutched around her cup like it was the only thing holding her together. She kept glancing at the door, shifting in her seat. When AITA walked in, she didn't hesitate. She spotted us and came straight over, cool as ever. No nerves. No drama. She sat down, said hi, and looked right at my wife. My wife said hello. Then nothing. The silence stretched. I tried to break the tension with small talk, weather, school, dogs, but it didn't land. AITA was polite, but guarded. My wife was crumbling in slow motion. Finally, my wife said what she came to say. I'm sorry. I made a mistake. A big one. And I can't undo it. But I want you to know I think about you. Every day. AITA blinked slowly, like she'd heard that line before in a dream. Then she said, very calmly. I'm not here for closure. I'm here to see if I even like you. It wasn't cruel. It was brutally honest. And it gutted my wife. She tried to recover. Said she understood. That she wanted to earn trust, not expect it. That she knew she'd failed the first test, and maybe every one after that. But she was here now. AITA nodded. But the energy never softened. After 20 minutes, AITA stood up. She thanked us both for coming. She said she had to go, homework. A quiz tomorrow. And just like that, she was gone. My wife sat there for a long time. Didn't touch her drink. Didn't speak. Then she looked at me and whispered. She doesn't need me. Not even a little. And she was right. But that didn't mean it was over. Later that night, AITA texted me. She's complicated. But I'm not writing her off yet. That was it. But it meant more than anything either of us said in that coffee shop. The door wasn't closed. Not completely. Thanksgiving came fast. We hadn't planned anything big, just a quiet dinner at home, me and my wife, no extended family this year. We told everyone we needed a break, which wasn't exactly a lie. Things had been fragile. A few days before the holiday, AITA texted me. Are you doing anything for Thanksgiving? I stared at that message for 10 minutes, heart thudding like I was about to answer a college acceptance letter. I didn't want to push. I didn't want her to think I expected anything. But I asked, would you want to come? She didn't answer right away. Hours passed. And then, okay. If it's not weird. It was weird. But not in the way I expected. When she showed up, arms full of store-bought pies and wearing an oversized hoodie, the tension in the room didn't rise, it settled. My wife opened the door, and for the first time, smiled without guilt behind her eyes. They said hello. No hugs. No grand gestures. Just a quiet, mutual nod. A kind of truce. Dinner was awkward. We forgot to make gravy. The dog barked through most of it. Erica asked if we always burned the rolls. We laughed. She was half serious. Halfway through the meal, she asked about the fertility process. Not bitterly. Just curious. What we went through. What we tried. How we ended up here. We told her the truth. All of it. And then, without even looking up from her plate, she said, "You know, you're not terrible at this." We didn't ask what she meant. We didn't need to. After dessert, we moved to the couch. My wife brought out the old photo album, the one Erica gave me weeks ago, and we went through it again, this time together. Erica pointed to a Halloween picture. Said she hated that costume. Her mom thought it was cute, but she wanted to be a vampire, not a ladybug. My wife smiled and said, "We would have fought over that, too." Erica didn't respond. But she didn't pull away either. As the night wound down, she stood up, stretched, and said, "Okay, this wasn't terrible." Then she looked at us and added, "I'll come back next year. If you make the rolls right." And just like that, she left. No fanfare. No emotional climax. Just peace. After she was gone, my wife and I sat in silence. Then she whispered, like it might break if she said it too loud, "She's ours." And for the first time, I didn't feel haunted by that idea. I felt lucky. Because sometimes family doesn't knock on your door. Sometimes, it shows up with a backpack and a DNA report. And if you're lucky, really lucky, it stays.